Welcome to our virtual series, Cultivated Spaces. There probably aren't too many spaces more cultivated than the one in which I'm standing, which happens to be the studio in Aaron Copland's National Historic Landmark home just north of New York City. I'm Michael Boriskin. I'm the Artistic and Executive Director of Copland House, a creative center for American music based right here. Because of the pandemic, the 2020 version of our Cultivate Emerging Composers Institute took place online. And so we transitioned into this virtual series, moving our usual concluding public concerts to this platform, premiering all of the new cultivated works we commissioned. Each of these programs spotlights one of our wonderful 2020 Composer Fellows and offers the virtual premiere of the piece they wrote for Cultivate. And we're so pleased to have I Care If You Listen, powered by the American Composers Forum, as our exclusive media partner for this series. This program features Baldwin Giang and the delicate and really mesmerizing piece he wrote for us called To Be Alone With You, which was inspired by a famous song of that name by Sufjan Stevens. Baldwin's going to speak a bit about the piece before we hear a complete performance by our Music from Copland House ensemble. And then please be sure to stick around after that, because Baldwin will be back to chat with Cultivate's director, two-time Grammy-nominated composer clarinetist Derek Bermel. Our performers are violinist Paula Garcia, cellist Alexis Pia Gerlach, and pianist Margaret Kampmeier. So please enjoy the music, and here's Baldwin.
Hello everyone, my name is Baldwin Giang and I'm a composer and pianist based in Chicago. I'm currently a PhD student at the University of Chicago. First off, I'd like to thank the amazing performers Paula, Alexis, and Peggy for their stunning recording of my work and for their astute feedback throughout the entire workshop process. Thank you also to Derek, Michael, and Ian for their generous mentorship and support through the Cultivate program. The movement you are about to hear is the third movement of a three-movement work entitled Songs After Sufjan. The entire work is inspired by songs by Sufjan Stevens and draw from his albums Seven Swans and Carrie and Lowell. The movement commissioned by Music from Copland House is entitled To Be Alone With You, inspired by the eponymous song by Sufjan Stevens. Stevens' lyrics concern the self-sacrifices required to be alone with someone and with God. And I felt this sentiment to be especially relevant as we were all making difficult decisions in our personal lives during the COVID-19 pandemic. My piece for piano trio makes use of some of the material of Stevens' songs, such as translating their carefully orchestrated pop production into dreamy microtonal harmony and extended techniques. Furthermore, the ghosts of Stevens' lyrics, when felt against my own purely instrumental music, serve as the starting point for the unique emotional arc of my own piece. To watch a recording of the full three-movement work, please visit my website at www.baldwingiang.com. Thank you for listening, and I hope you enjoy.
Hi, this is Derek Bermel, and I'm the program director for Cultivate at the Copland House. And I'm really excited to have Baldwin Giang here with me after hearing his piece, To Be Alone with You. Baldwin, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you so much, Derek, for chatting with me and organizing this fantastic opportunity through the Cultivate program.
Well, let's talk a little bit about the piece that we just heard. You chose to write for piano trio, and I come away from this piece with is there's a kind of bittersweet, nostalgic kind of sensation that I get from listening to this piece. And you based it on a memory of a song by Sufjan Stevens. Um, can you tell us a little bit about your compositional process? What's it like? What was it like composing this piece, and what was in your mind, and how did you translate that onto the page and then to the musicians?
Sure. So first, I really thought about the emotional content of the piece. And it was really reflective of what I felt I was going through at that time. So this was August of 2020. We were really deep into the COVID-19 pandemic. And I was making pretty hard choices in my life about whether to stay in Chicago, where I normally reside, or go back home and isolate with my family. And I was thinking about, the hard choices we all had to make to choose to be alone with someone and not to be with other people. And the self-sacrifice, the awkwardness, and also the comfort that it can bring to be alone with someone in that time. And I thought back to a song by Sufjan Stevens called "To Be Alone with You" that I think really captured a lot of this affect that I was feeling. So my compositional process started with listening to that song over and over again, transcribing it, listening to a lot of other Sufjan Stevens songs to get a sense of his harmonic style, his textural style. Um, and then I started developing my own ideas based on fragments of Stevens's work. And I also knew pretty early on in the process that I was really interested in the intimacy and immediacy that you can get from pop production techniques that is is very orchestrated and very precise, and often harder to find in classical recordings. So I thought about how I could get that intimacy and the dreamy atmosphere of Stevens's tracks. So that led me to working with a Rhodes synth that the pianist also plays, as you all have seen, to capture that dreamy atmosphere and that intimacy.
Tell us about the Rhodes synth. You must be an old guy if you know about the Rhodes. Um, I'm kidding, but but the Rhodes is it's a kind of a throwback. And so, what does that represent for you?
Well, the Rhodes synth features pretty prominently in a lot of Stevens' work. I was thinking a lot about Carrie and Lowell, the album from 2015, in which he talks about his mother who passed away from stomach cancer, and the album is him exploring his grief. So there is definitely a nostalgic quality to the Rhodes, and I was thinking about the Rhodes in the context of Stevens's work and also as a double to the piano. My Rhodes synth is tuned to an extended just intonation based on 7-limit just intonation. And
Wait, hold on a second. Now, what is that? Just for the audience that's not up on Harry Parch and everything, tell us about that.
Sure. So in real brief, the tuning system that we use in most Western music is called equal temperament. It's a division of the octave into 12 equal pitches. But that's not the only tuning system out there available. And for a lot of music, it's not the tuning system that even sounds best. One other approach to tuning is to tune the notes of the scale to ratios that sound more consonant based on the harmonic series. And that tuning system and the scales that derive from it is called extended just intonation. Justly tuned intervals are more consonant intervals than what we have in equal temperament. So my piece juxtaposes sounds from the piano that are in equal temperament, what we hear every day.
Right, because you can't change the pitches on the piano.
Correct. So juxtaposes the piano with the Rhodes synth, which is much more flexible in intonation because I can program it on the computer. And that Rhodes synth has intervals that are justly tuned. And so it opens up the harmonic possibilities of the work. I can explore harmonies that are really consonant and based on just intonation, but also explore harmonies that are very dissonant that work in the clash between equal temperament and just intonation.
And this is interesting because you're working in a harmonic system that's actually it's very old. I mean, it's probably older. It's older certainly than than our tempered scale, which is relatively new compared. But this goes back to the Greeks, and so what I find fascinating about it is that you're dealing with this idea of nostalgia, and you're dealing with very old musical techniques but which are also coming back as new techniques and which might sound new to our ears, but might actually be signifying something that's old. That's true with your use of the Fender Rhodes too, and then you have other extended techniques here too. You use a lot of harmonics. You use kind of a circular bowing technique as well as these just intervals. Can you tell us about that circular bowing technique?
Sure. I use a really fast version of circular bowing that I call vertical bowing. It's a way to add noise to the string sound compared to just normally bowing on a string instrument. Yeah, and for me I was also attracted to these timbres because they have a kind of reference to electronic sound that's prominent in Sufjan Stevens's work, and a delicacy and an intimacy that I was really looking for, given the affect of the piece.
Yeah, those words, that delicacy and intimacy, really characterize this piece for me. I find it very moving. I during the week, you came almost every day with a new revision of the piece for the players. With different little details revised. How was the week for you? What were you able to do that might be difficult in a kind of normal rehearsal situation?
Well, it was a real privilege to be able to bring in revisions to every workshop. I think that's one of the real strengths of the Cultivate program and what I'm really grateful for. I will admit now that I'm a chronic reviser, and I feel like everything can always be better. And having that immediate feedback of bringing in a draft, having the performers play it, and me then taking a step back and deciding what worked and what didn't was incredibly important to the process, in fine tuning a lot of the harmonies, the timbres, the textures. Yeah, I would say that this process resulted in a piece that would not have been as good if I didn't have that extensive workshop period.
Well, one of the points I think of the program is to kind of demystify the compositional process because, in a way, you know, the idea that the masterpieces were kind of fully formed and came out, you know, like from the head of Zeus or something like that. They don't really evolve like that in that way, and I guess this is most of what Cultivate's about is breaking down that idea and reminding people that composers also go through a process even after our compositional process. There's this post compositional process of adjusting and remaking and retuning. So well, you talked about the isolation during the pandemic. What else have you been doing during the pandemic? You're there in Chicago, and what's next for you?
Yeah, I'm back in Chicago now. I'm still working on my PhD, and I'm entering the dissertation phase soon. Uh, and I have a bunch of really exciting projects coming up, some freelance commissions, but the Center for Composition at Chicago has really done a wonderful job of setting up amazing opportunities for the students here. So I have an upcoming project that's a collaboration between Ekmelis Vocal Ensemble and Sandbox Percussion coming up. I'm writing a piece for in-house ensemble of Chicago All-Stars called the Grossman Ensemble. I'm writing a piece for the French string quartet Cato Diotima, and then a piece for Quince Vocal Ensemble.
Wow, so you're doing the new music rounds, as it were.
Yeah,
Well,
and everything,
congratulations. Yeah, I
thank
mean,
you.
you were going to say something?
Yeah, I mean, part of it is also just an embarrassment of riches, and it's also that so much was postponed from last year. So it's all, all this good stuff is now being packed in a really intense period coming up. But I'm super grateful for the opportunities here, and the center has really provided wonderful professional level opportunities to develop my work, and refine it through a wonderful rehearsal process, just like in Cultivate.
Well, thanks so much, Baldwin, and we wish you all the best. And it was so great to work with you during that week. And please keep in touch. And wanted to tell our audience to please join us next week when we're going to hear a work by Inti Figus Visueta, which is called New Cosmologies. So please join us for that in our next installment of this series with the American Composers Forum. And thanks again, Baldwin.
Thank you so much, Derek. It was an absolute pleasure to work with you, and I learned so much through the process. Thank you.